effective agency. And it's a one-stop shop because, some people will go, well, we'll have video guys over here do this, and then we'll have a guy over here do this, and then we'll have and so it just becomes a big, mess of confusion of where should I, how do you run control on that? So we solve that problem. And we're very different from most ad agencies where, we do weekly calls. You guys know we're working with you. So we talk.
Yeah, we are. We can speak to that. We're clients of yours, and you've been helping us a lot, coaching and getting our online presence up and going. So,
yep.
Yeah. And leads and all that good stuff. And the thing is that it's, it just requires communication. I did a call this morning, did a sales call this morning. And this is something I hear all the time. It's just, well, we've been burned by advertising agencies, bad communication, slow. They say promise the world and X, Y, and Z. And honestly, that's just a huge problem in the space. And, our company's very focused on making sure that we deliver and we make it practical and ethical across the board. So, absolutely. Yeah, man, I've been doing this for 16 years.
Wow.
I'm only 32.
Wow. Nice. It's been a long journey, I understand, for you, man. Where did you first start in this space? What was your first kind of gig, if you will?
My very first gig. Wow, man, my very first gig. The very first gig I ever did was a commercial for this little hole in the wall restaurant in Albuquerque, New Mexico. That was the first true ad I made. I mean, prior to that, I had I had downloaded movies, recut movies, and filmed my own stuff and made my own stuff. But in 2008, YouTube was becoming a thing, and companies were like, we need to be on YouTube. We need to have a video for our office and for our restaurant. So I got hired by this company. I reached out to them and they're like, cool, you're the only guy in New Mexico we have. So we're going to hire you. And I was like, great. And I got paid nothing. I think I got paid $250 to go shoot, edit, turn it around in 24 hours and get it up there. And so that was the first video I ever did. And within 60 days, I had zero portfolio. And then I had 250 ads that I had produced myself. And, a lot of people go to film school, and I'm not knocking film school. I think it's great, but I want to create something today that I could just go to a business and say, here's my work. This is what I've done. And in the industry that I'm in, it's very much about that. It's show me what you can do. So that's where I really got started. That was back in 2008, my first ad, realistically.
Yeah. Wow. So, I mean, you've seen a lot of ups and downs in the market cycles since 2008. We both have a little bit of common here. As far as 2020, we both went out on our own and started our new businesses right in the middle of a pandemic. So talk a little bit about just the fear of going through all that and powering through and getting to where you are today.
Yeah. I mean, talk about powering through. I mean, I went through some very odd times in my life. I went through a spout of homelessness. I went through a period of being connected to the wrong people and really just getting rocked. And by rocked, I mean kicked to the curb, biting the curb, all of it, just the worst things that you could possibly imagine to place. And the one thing that I always held on to was I knew I was very good at production. I knew I was very good at helping people communicate through video and content. And so I just kept honing in on that. I've never really had the job to do it. I mean, I would take these other jobs here and there, but it was never full time. Mm-hmm. And I got an amazing opportunity with an entrepreneur where I got hired, and I just learned so much about, branding. And what I was actually doing was called quote unquote branding and advertising. And I didn't have a name for it. I just did it. And so what that grew into was me learning and understanding sales and building a really large $12 million contract value agency in about 3 or 4 years. And then I went out on my own about 2 years ago. Yeah. That was fun because I had a non-compete, which basically meant you can't do anything. It is what it is. Walk the ethical line. Waited for a year. And December of 2019 was the first, let's go. Business took off. I really only had 90 days of starting my business, and then they shut down the country and the economy and the pandemic hit. And this is my first year in business. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I mean, I've been through so much in my life already, getting stuck in another country, homelessness, getting fired, insane. And living in a hostel in Miami and South Beach on $100 a week, which is, you can't do it. You just try to do that. Lunch is $30, you know? So I got really creative though with $3 pizzas. I don't eat pizza from that place anymore. But so it just resulted in having to really outcreate that situation. Like it was a test. I was like, look, I've already been to the bottom. I'm willing to let the ships burn, and I'm going to produce, I'm going to promote more, spend more money on advertising, double down on systems, double down on operations, double down on making sure that everything was set appropriately. And that led to our highest months ever in succession. So it was April highest ever, May, June, July, August. And then we kind of leveled off towards the end of the year, which is great, no problem. But I mean, right now, right before this call, I mean, we closed a very massive deal. This is the highest week ever, once again, right in January. So we've done that, and we got more to do, and it's only the 15th. So I'm very excited. But man, trials, tribulations, punches in the face, punches below the belt, disappointments, betrayals, people who I loved and cared about and trusted just totally. I had to leave situations, leave things that looked good from the outside, but were not good. And man, a lot of people not agreeing with those moves. But at the end of the day, I just said, you know what matters most right now is my integrity. What matters most is that I go after exactly what I want. And I was willing to put myself in a position where it was uncertain. And I've done that probably 5 or 6 times in my life, and I've always come out the other side. So it's been a wild ride. It's been a fun ride, and I'm very happy that I've done that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think a pandemic's going to slow you down. It sounds like you've overcome more adversity and most people will ever see in their lifetime, and since you've been on the planet. So that's amazing, man. So Jake and I started our new business March 1st, right before the first lockdown started happening. And a lot of our peers were saying, hey, now with all this uncertainty, pull back on your marketing, shut off your direct mail.
Keep your cash reserves.
We didn't have that option. We had a brand new business with zero pipeline of leads. So we had to fill that up quick. So we kind of went against the grain of the advice we were hearing and made some large investments to start filling up our lead pipeline. And luckily it paid off, and we powered through 2020 pretty strong.
Yeah.
Now we're kind of shifting, and why we got led to working with you, Robert, is we're seeing that online promotion is key moving forward for anybody that's doing any kind of marketing and sales. So talk a little bit about that. I mean, is having an online presence do or die in this world today?
Absolutely. I mean, look, there's a lot of craziness going on, and, you know, people talking about when we saw censorship and all this stuff happen. And here's the thing. Here's what I got to say. And I thought about this because I was like, what am I going to say? Here I am promoting people to grow and expand. And it doesn't matter what platform you're on. It doesn't matter where you exist. You have to be able to understand your company. You have to understand your offerings, and you have to understand what it is that you bring to the marketplace. So how you accomplish establishing yourself online doesn't really, it matters in the sense that the activity actually takes place, right? So you got advice from people that were like, pull back, stop, don't do this. And look, I got I saw big entrepreneurs pull back. I saw people that I was like, dude, this guy has bajillions, or this girl's got bajillions, and they're retreating. And that freaked me out because I was like, oh, I don't have that kind of money. Like, what? Oh God. And so I just said, you know what? Whatever, that's their viewpoint, you know. And I've heard people say like, oh man, it's just economy's not good. It's not, nobody's buying, nobody's doing anything. And I said, look, if I believe that, that's exactly what I'll get. But if I go down the pike and just say, let's just go hammer time, like let's really promote hard, let's really beef up our advertising, let's invest into it, and let's go. And that's how I led to our highest ever month, and still doing it, you know. Yeah. And that's the thing. People have this very distorted viewpoint on advertising, marketing, promotion, all that stuff, because they want that instant thing. And you see these big entrepreneurs out there that show you, yeah, we just got this awesome thing. But what you're not seeing is the 6 or 7, 8, 9, 10 years it took to get to that, or the mistakes that took place. It's the same thing in running a business, right? You're experiencing it. I experienced it. Things happen. You got to persevere. You got to push. You got to reinforce the business. You got to sell harder.
Yeah.
For what, how we go from this is normal for business that advertising is a unicorn of the century. I don't know who made that leap, but when I find him, I'm going to strangle him and punch him in the face, because he caused so much problems for advertising agencies that actually do a good job for people. And that's why people get burned all the time. So is it important? Absolutely. Is it vital? Absolutely. Should you invest in it? Absolutely. Is it something that's going to happen fast? It can, it cannot. Like it's the same thing in business. I heard people say, well, going out on your own is going to be tough. It's going to be hard and you might lose. And it's da, 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 da. And I'm like, look, what if it goes right? What if I make $1 million my first month? No one's talking about the positives. They're all focused on this negative thing. So the same thing with the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
People retreating. Okay, that's your decision. I'm going to go down fighting and I'm going to do everything I can to make it go right. And I'm glad I did that. And you guys did the same. Yeah. So, and it's
like, what if you don't take the risk? What if you just, play the status quo and wait around for somebody to lay you off if you're working for another guy, So
that's happened to a lot of people, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's not why you got into business. You didn't get into business to play the scat. Anybody that starts a business did not start a business to play it safe.
No.
I mean, you got to be a little insane to jump off the cliff yourself. You got to be a little like loopy to say, I'm willing to forego everything. I was making 300 grand a year and I'm like, yeah. And then I jump off the ledge and I'm like, zero. And I'm thinking to myself, it's a good idea as I'm falling all the way down and running out of cash. And it was, because today, I mean, here's the crazy thing. Because of marketing, because of promotion, you're able to influence so many people, right? And we'll talk about how you can land deals from that in a minute. You're also able to expand your business. And I'm going to tell you something. My yearly salary that I was making, I donated that amount last year to humanitarian campaigns.
Man,
that's crazy.
Think about that. In the middle of a global crisis pandemic, my entire salary that I made as an employee is what I donated last year to humanitarian campaigns. And that
what drove you to do that?
So I believe so I've been in situations where I've gone to fundraisers and things, and I've never been able to give, and I want to give. I'm actually a very giving person, and I want to help. And I could give $1,000, $500, and I would literally drive home and be like, I'm so much more capable than this. I'm so much more capable. And I see guys dropping $500,000, millions of dollars, and like it's nothing. I went to a fundraiser and somebody dropped $500,000 as the first donation, and I was like, what are you doing? What? Or $1 million or $2.5 million. And I'm like, oh my God, what is it going to take for me to get there? And I realized I was going to have to be in control of my income. So I love being in a position to give back like that, because I really do want to make an impact. I really do want to help people. I really do want people to win. And so if I see something that's helping people, I will invest into it and donate. And it's you hear that thing like give more and receive back more. It's exactly the same thing. Ironically, the same thing happens in promotion, which is what I was touching on. And
Perfect segue. Let's get into it. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I promote, market hard, spend the money, even if I'm not getting leads or if I'm not getting ROI, but if I stay persistent enough with it, it does happen. And I mean, I've gotten in the last probably 90 days, 6 deals that added an additional $25,000 to $30,000, $40,000 in revenue to my business in that month when they closed, because they were watching for the last 6 months. Mm-hmm. They never liked anything. They never commented on anything. They never said anything. I didn't even know who they were. But one day you put a video out after you substantially put out a lot of content from yourself, and they say, I have been wanting to talk to you for like 90 days, and today was the day I wanted to talk to you. And I'm like, great, let's talk. And that is how my entire business has grown, because I show up every day. I deliver every day. Even when I don't want to deliver and I'm tired, I still do it. I've had days when I've had a splitting migraine and I'm like, I don't want it. And I do it anyway, because my own purpose to help other people win is greater than whatever's going on with me. And that's something that I always come back to. And that's, people will be like, well, I'm afraid to promote. I'm afraid to talk. I'm afraid to, market myself. And I say, well, you're being extremely selfish with yourself. You're being extremely selfish with yourself, because somebody out there right now needs the information that you have. And not only that, there are people out there that have never done what you've done that are selling products that people buy. There are coaches out there that are telling them how to go to $20 million in revenue, and they've never made more than 200 grand in their life, or scale a sales team, and they've never had a sales team. And you start thinking about this and you're like, oh, so then this responsibility comes in, and it's like, well, am I an accomplice in this person who's damaging other people and giving them a bad time because I'm not saying anything? Now we're getting really deep, and nobody talks about that in marketing. But I know the original question was, is it important? And the last two things I said is really why you should do it.
Well, touch on that, because you always, every time we're on a call, you always say, talk about the things no one else is talking about. And I think that's what you do a lot of when you post, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I'm a big stickler on, like, I was talking to somebody the other day. We were doing our the calls that we do, and they said, well, I want to help people, show them how to reinvest back in their business. And I challenged him and I said, what does that mean? Reinvest into the business? Because everybody says it, but what do I do? Do I buy laptops? Do I go on a vacation? Do I buy what the hell does that mean? And so what I do in marketing in every industry I'm in is I said, just sit there and look at what other people say and ask that question. What's that actually mean? And if they're not answering that question, that's your window of opportunity. Your window of opportunity is to go where no one's saying anything, because everybody says the things that sound good. They feel good, feels nice, I'm like, oh yeah, that feels real nice. Thank you. And then you're like, you get all motivated and jacked up, and you walk away and you're like, well, what do I do now? What am I supposed to do? I feel good, but damn, what do I do? And so my whole thing is about observing what's there, what's not being said, and can you comment on that? Because you're obviously in business because you have a different system. Sure. The businesses that make it do things a little bit differently. Anybody can, and there's a lot of wholesalers. There's a lot of guys in your space that are doing that, but it's like, what is going to actually separate me out? Or even Fortune 5,000 or big companies. It's like, what are you going to do? That why would I listen to you? Oh, we're transparent. Oh yeah, it sounds great. What's that mean? Well, we're authentic. The hell does that mean? I'm authentic. Your mom's authentic. Like, what does this mean? That's where this comes into, and that's what I mean by observing what doesn't quite make sense, or what's there that nobody's really talking about, and then you moving into the space and actually answering those questions with tactical things they can use.
I mean, that's been some of the best advice you've given on our coaching calls, is lean into those objections. As direct-to-seller marketers, we are met with objections every day. Why should I sell my house to somebody like you guys? You guys are scammers, or you're trying to steal mom's house.
Lowball offers and stuff like that.
Okay, well,
yeah, we talked about that. We were like, they always say the lowball offer, and what did I say? I was like, what was the other one we said? You were
scammers trying to steal mom's house.
No. The prospectors, or the other word for prospectors.
Oh, speculators. Yeah, some older guys call speculators.
And I was like, you're absolutely right. We're speculators because that's our business to be so. And here's the deal. You want to talk about a lowball offer, and all you wholesalers that listen, here's the thing. Your lowball offer, great, wonderful. All right, let's look at this. Let's actually analyze lowball offers, okay? You want $250,000 for your property right now, right? Okay. Here's the actual analysis that I did based on the comps, industry term, the comps in your industry. And here's it is. The house next door to you, they're worth about 180. The house up the street, they're worth about 150. The house down the street's worth 300. But you know why? Because they redid the whole damn house. Everything is brand spanking new. And you're asking for 250, and your house is on stilts and it's going to fall over. Now, I'm not trying to be a you-know-what, but I'm telling you, we can get you money today, or go invest another 100 grand, and then you can ask for that. So yes, we're speculators. Nothing wrong with it, because it's the truth. You're going to do it anyway. See, people are afraid to say the truth of what is. You're going to do it.
Right.
Why not just say it?
Well, I don't know if a lot of people have the practice of really what you're getting at is leaning into that objection, right? Instead of trying to deny it, like, no, I don't lowball or anything like that. You just leaned right into it, but you gave it with like backed up data.
Yeah. Yeah, like,
why not? Really thoroughly enjoy that process on an appointment, going through that whole process with them, just being very transparent, showing them our numbers. And then at the end of the day, if they still can't see eye to eye or be reasonable, then we're just not a fit to do business, and we'll part way as friends. But so many people in our space are afraid to go there. They'll just say, "Oh, I'll give you whatever I want," or I'll pay your next highest offer. We got to make the offer that it makes sense to us, and it needs to make sense for them too, and be a win-win for everybody. So.
Yeah, and I mean, look, it's the same thing in the sales process, right? So you're basically using logic to get the deal done, right?
Yeah.
You're using what is logical and what is sound. I don't know what happens to most people. Well, when they go to social media, they try to build a presence. They like throw all that out the window, and they drop into this kind of canned, automatic, circuit-based response that just sounds good. But when you get on the phone with someone, it's totally different. Right? So what we talk about and what I do with my clients is we take that process and we extract who that individual is, who you guys are, and we bring that to the table. And every objection becomes content. Every objection becomes marketing material. Like, it's just all there. So when people are like, I don't know what to talk about, I'm like, really? What do you mean you don't know what did you talk about on the phone today with your clients? Well, this guy had this problem, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, great. Where's that piece of content? Oh, I never thought about it like that. But that's the thing. It's there. It's just, are you willing to confront actually saying that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Hey, we got a few people popping on, watching live. Drop some questions in the chat box. We got Mr. Robert Syslo here, marketing and sales genius. So bring a lot of value to the table. Drop any questions you have in there. So Robert, I wanted to talk to you about when we first met you. It was at a mastermind in Florida a few months ago. And you presented to the room there. Biggest takeaway for me was your formula for your sales process. You kind of wrote it on the whiteboard like a big arc. I was hoping maybe you could walk through that with our audience for us and dive into that a little bit.
Yep.
Spectacles on.
Let me match you there. All right.
Oh,
I'm ready to learn.
Oh my gosh.
Looks good, man. You looking good. I like them. They're fun. Okay. So really what this is about content creation. Okay. So I would watch and hear people say, well, I don't know how to do a video and I'm not quite sure how to communicate. What do I need to say? How do I need to say this? And after doing thousands and thousands of videos, it always came back to what I would call 1, 2, 3, 5 steps or 5 areas that have to be more or less hit in the piece of content. And this can work for a 60-second video. This could work for an hour-long video. You just can keep expanding it as you go. So the way that I really broke that down, and as you said, it is a narrative arc. So in actually filmmaking, there's different types of films. There's narrative film, or documentaries, I should say. There's narrative documentaries, voice of God documentaries, all that kind of stuff. But in film, there's a narrative arc. Something happens and you go through a process. So I kind of took that a little bit and applied it to advertising, and I broke it down into 5 really simple things that people can do. And it's, I mean, some of it you may already know, some of it with what we just talked about in the last 20 minutes, you might rethink how you approach things. But this combined with lead gen ads, with Google ads, with YouTube ads, or retargeting or lookalike audience ads, this works very well, because you're hitting all the points. And so I'll just tell you what the 5 points are, and then we'll go through how to work them. So you have your introductions, point 1, your observations, number 2, your solution is number 3, your practical applications 4, and then your close is number 5. So it's intro, observe, solution, practical application, and then close, right? So what does that mean? Introduction short. Hey guys, Robert Syslo here, own a creative agency. We help entrepreneurs, business owners, really elevate their brands in the marketplace and communicate more effectively so that they are able to, attract more business and grow. Here's something that I have observed. And what I have observed is that commonly most people get burned by advertising agencies. Now, here's the thing about the observation part. You will feel tempted at first to want to condense everything into one video. You will want to just throw everything in. That's the wrong way to go about it. Pick one thing that you see. Because otherwise, you're not going to really get to the nitty gritty. My mouth did something. My brain did something.
Potatoes.
Yeah.
Nitty gritty. And just pick that one observation that you see, one problem, one illogical, one irrationality that other people in wholesaling, insurance, whatever that is, pick it. And that becomes your topic, right? So let's just take, for example, this situation where people get burned by advertising agencies, right? And you just say, look, this is a common thing that I see happen. And then you kind of dive into it and then you explore it. Then you move on to the solution part, or what you found or created as a response to that. And then you say, look, here's what we've done. We've done X, we've done Y, we've done Z, I've done this, I've done that. It's not even about industry, what the industry recommends, or it's what you do. It's you, right? What your process, your viewpoint, what you saw and solved as a problem, or solved to something that doesn't quite make sense. So with that solution, you just run through it, maybe 2 or 3 points, right? Then you move on to the fourth piece, which is this really practically applicable thing. You always want to try to educate in the videos. Everything's educate, and also give me something that I can do today. Like, what could I do right now? You know, so the first thing you could do right now, if you're having bad advertising experiences, is learn about how to actually recognize a good ad agency from a bad one. Ones that actually communicate more, ones that actually are willing to, you know, pick up the phone at any moment, have those tough conversations about leads not coming in or products not converting, and really being honest with you, right? In your space, it would be the same thing. Lowball offer, right? Your practical application to a lowball offer is to really get them to understand that that's probably happening because the house is really just not at value. And here's how you determine that. So give them an activity that they can do, because what this does, you don't even need millions of followers for this, by the way. You just need to demonstrate your competency. The purpose of everything you do is to demonstrate your competency. And if you can demonstrate your competency, you're good. And that's how people keep coming back. And then they call you 60, 90 days later and they say, you know what, Rob? Or you know what, Brian? You know what, Jake? I really like what you guys are up to. And I have a house that I want to sell. Can you help me? Right? That's what we're trying to do here. And then there's just the close, where it's just simply, look, tell me what you think about what I said. I want to know, put it in comments, share it with your friends, or go visit my website. Like, give people something to do. But that process, that arc that we're talking about here, is applicable to any industry, any topic, wherever you are. I don't care what you're doing. But that is what we are looking for and wanting to have happen with your space, your business, your company. Actually, I saw somebody put I saw somebody put in the marketplace the definition of the word company, and it was really interesting. It meant companion, right? Company actually means companion.
I've never heard of that. Yeah.
Yeah. So if you look it up, the derivation comes from companion. And the deal is that I'm trying to just be I'm trying to help you move forward, right? People forget this. They get all caught up in the money, burning money and cars and all that stuff. And yes, I have a cool car and I post that, but that's not the thing. But the thing is that at the core of the value of everything I do is that I'm trying to be a companion to you. Like, you could ask my clients, I take calls anytime. And if I don't take calls, I call you back as fast as possible, right?
You're a good communicator. That's for sure.
Yeah. That is primary. And this little process that we're talking about here is so simple. You may be like, well, I don't know if that'll try it, because it works, and stay consistent with it. Thank you, Josh. Monica, thank you. And
Love it. Oh, yeah, we got some
we got a question
comments here showed up.
yes,
Monica.
yes, got some comments. Thank you, Josh. Yeah,
That's talking about you.
Took a long time to really figure this out. Christina asked, hi, Rob, what is the right way of rebranding once you change the industry or once you change the industry space? So realistically, everything just comes from you, right? So that individual, wherever you begin, it's always you. So once you start to communicate, you want to build a brand that has a few different things. You want to introduce lifestyle, viewpoints, how you live, what you think, and what you're known for. And then if you're going to change that space, it's literally just the need to do a direct confront on it and just say, hey, look, we are now shifting to this direction. You know, you want to start gradually introducing a new idea, a new concept, a new feeling over time. And it's going to take a little bit of persistence and effort to change that status. Like, for me, I was like the video genius. And I was like, that is kind of an invalidation to everything I actually do, because I do way more than just video, right? I mean, we do graphics, we do web design, we do lead generation, we do social ad campaigns, YouTube management, Facebook management, product design, user interface for applications. We design stuff for that. You know, products that are being built, we design user interface applications. So my job, branding out of that video space, was to show everything that we are capable of doing, right? So whatever industry you're in, if you're going to change it, it just takes that persistence and that desire to communicate. You have to be willing to do it in the first place, right? And I've worked with big boys, I've worked with mom and pops, I've worked with guys that have hundreds of thousands of dollars in ad spend, and it always takes just that direct confrontive communication to go out into the marketplace. Great question.
That's a really interesting question. Well, I'm curious what industry Christina's in there. Just talking about changing the whole industry. Josh says, Robert's awesome. Message is right on point. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate you, Josh and Monica.
Yeah, that's a point you brought up there, Robert. I mean, a lot of people, I feel like they're just afraid to put their life on social media or out into the ethers, you know. But if you do enough of it where people get to know you a little bit, they feel like they know you before they ever do business with you. And they want to know what you're all about. And if they already have that good sense before you even come out and meet them at their property or whatever type of office, whatever, I think you're already halfway to closing the deal.
You build that credibility inside already.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, and you guys, we talked about this a little bit about how advertising diffuses tension, right? Sure. And if you guys are on here right now, appreciate you everybody being here. Please, Brian and Jake deliver outstanding podcasts. These guys do incredible work. Look at this guy's glasses. Look at Jake. Look at Brian's beard over there. Like,
look at that hair.
That hair is just next level.
Robert and Jake have the best hair on the internet, man.
Well, that's true.
I mean, seriously, that hair is that's like Tom Cruise Mission Impossible 2 hair. You know, that looks good, bro. It looks good. So if you're on the stream right now, please share it. You know, give these guys some love. They're awesome. But back to what we were talking about, the whole deal is diffusing tension, really. You know, rapport, building an audience, but really, I'm diffusing tension as to why you would want to work with me. Mm-hmm. I'm breaking that first wall. The first sale in marketing is just to get you to listen to me. That's all I'm trying to do. Well, you know,
you touched on this before. Like, if someone has an objection you just talked to on the phone, there's probably dozens, hundreds of other people that have that same exact objection. And so when you address it, you're speaking to those people directly, and they feel more impacted by that copy or by that message or whatever you're putting out there, right?
Yeah, and the objection you get, that's not the only one. They're not the only people on earth that have the same thought.
Right.
You know, for every one person that actually says something new, there's like 150 to 200, maybe even 1,000 people that don't say anything, right? But they're thinking about it. So there is a communication that's taking place on both sides. So as I talk to you, you're having a thought, which is a communication, by the way. You're doing this thing and you're processing, and you choose to communicate back or not. But there is something taking place. You're having a thought, you're having a viewpoint on this. And I think a lot of people miss this. And it's funny because what really starts to happen when you start to accelerate, and I've seen this in my space, is I've got other ad agencies that are trying to copy me and duplicate and do what I'm doing. And, you know, I'm a little flattered about that, but I'm like, vaya con Dios, because you'll never be Robert Syslo. You know, I want to do this. I want to do this industry model right now. I want to go where everybody else is going, and I want to do what everybody else is doing. And you're like, it's sheeple. It's that sheeple term. People are just like, well, we're going to follow this. And then you lose the sense of differentiation.
Yeah. I mean, that's cool. I mean, you're probably already 3 steps ahead of them and going to be making a pivot anyway. So
I don't even really care. I'm just aware that it's happening. I'm just saying that as a point, like that's an indicator that you're moving ahead at a fast speed for everyone, you know, because you need to set the new standard. You need to set the standard for the space that you're in.
Set the standard.
Well, I mean, I think when you're coming from a place of trying to help people and really trying to provide value, you're always going to be ahead of the competition, right? Because if they're trying to copy you, they can never meet you where you're at because you're always on to the next thing. Isn't that how that works?
Yeah, and look, it really comes down to not being able to identify your core sense of self and your core thing of business. You're just adopting what you think sounds good or what you think other people were successful at. And look, at first it might be okay because you're feeling the waters, but if that becomes your primary MO in business, I mean, you know, that is not a sustainable expansion path at all. You know, the guys that are really successful with their brands, they're not looking at me. They're not looking at anybody. They're just like, well, we're going to do this and we're going to make this, and that's just how it's going to be. And they're just creating. So if you can adopt that viewpoint in promotion, marketing, hell, even lead generation, that's the result that you're going to get from it.
Very good.
Robert, I just kind of had this question pop up in my head here, but you know, as far as our space in real estate investing, some of the traditional marketing methods have kind of seen diminishing returns and maybe completely become obsolete. Direct mail was popular for years. You get a 1% response rate on something like that. I mean, it still works. We still do deals from it, but the returns have diminished big time.
Yeah.
Cold calling, cold texting, that's all become popular.
Ringless voicemails axed.
But yeah, I mean, restrictions, regulations keep cracking down on those type of forms of marketing. So in the online space going forward in the future, what kind of challenges are marketers going to be up against, you think, with all this new talk about censorship and everything?
I mean, it's a really good question. I think realistically, look, the platform is a platform. Okay. It doesn't control your life. Life continues to move on. And if all these platforms went down today, somebody will build a new one and we'll be right back where we were, where we just communicate and we promote with videos and we talk and we do all those things. What do I think will happen with censorship? I think there's something else a little bit bigger happening with that's probably being worked on. I don't know. But as far as I'm concerned, you know, the platform is the platform and I'm still trying to reach people. Some people may hate me for what I'm about to say, but I don't participate in any sort of political talk on social media or in reference to my brand, because then my brand gets tainted with that for the rest of my life. Now, I fully believe that there is a time and a place for you to have a political opinion. I believe there's a time and a place for you to do things correctly. I do believe there's a place for you to have a voice and to say something that's thoroughly fact-checked by yourself, not just an idea that you heard and somebody posted it and that becomes gospel. Because that's something that I saw happen very recently over the last week since about the 6th. Everybody's scrambling for information. And this is a good viewpoint on industries and business ideas and people trying out different things. They're like, oh, this is it. That's it. And it keeps getting pulled out from underneath you. Right. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I've got people reaching out to me every day. Hey man, you want to do some Bitcoin? Hey man, you want to do some Forex trading? Hey man, you want to do this? And I'm like, no, I don't. Because the reason being is that I want to get good at my thing and I want to accelerate forward at my thing. And if I'm interested in that later on, fine. But I don't want to change the path, because the path of least resistance sometimes is not that good when it comes to marketing and business stuff. You want a little resistance. You want to put in that work because it pays dividends. And every social post is a piece of digital real estate that pays you a dividend, right? So you can pay yourself a dividend of negative attention, which could be anything related to anything negative. Or you could pay yourself a dividend of positive attention, which is more pro-survival to help other people win. And that's what you become known as. Now, I'm not saying to silence yourself or not have an opinion or not say anything. I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying that from a business perspective, the platform is the platform. And if your goal is to help someone become better today, I don't see how talking about politics is going to do that. I think if you want to do that in a forum, if you want to do that with your friends, if you want to do that, you know, even at places where you can have a voice and say that, I think it's great and I think it should be done. But I believe that as a business owner or someone trying to accelerate in their career, I believe personally, my viewpoint, take it as such, is that your goal should be for pro-survival positive attention. And that is, how can I help someone be better today? How can I help someone?
So much noise out there right now.
One last thing, because at the end of the day, people still need to make money. People still have families that they need to take care of. We are still in control of where we're supposed to go and how we're supposed to get there. If we have to adapt a little bit with some of the rules, okay, great. Well, that happens all the time on Facebook. You used to be able to advertise network marketing companies. They shut that down. But hey, network marketing companies still exist, right? So it's more about, are you willing to adapt? And what is your true intention when you're getting on social media? And do you want positive or negative attention? Okay, I'm done.
Well, I'm glad you touched on the political stuff because that was something we were going to ask you about. Did you have a question real quick you want to ask?
I was just going to add to that. I mean, I just think there's so much noise out there today. I mean, you can flip on any news channel, Facebook, YouTube, it's everywhere. I mean, how can you go wrong with putting something positive out into the universe? Just like you've told us before, when everybody's playing over here in this sandbox, go make your own over here, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I get a little like when I see groups just like rushing to something, I'm like, I don't know about that. I don't know about that. It's not. I don't think it's bad. Let me say this. I don't think it's bad, but I have always, and I think we've talked about this, but there's certain strata of people that exist on social media, and they all exist at different levels. And your job in marketing and with your business should be to outgrow that strata. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that people are negative or you're not good enough or you're better than. I'm just saying like you need to move in position upwards with your content and your ability to help more people and communicate to all those stratas. You need to create your own space in your industry that nobody else is doing. And yeah, what could go wrong from sharing something positive? Nothing. I mean, I still share positive stuff, and I got a couple haters here and there, but I know for a fact that they didn't watch the actual content or listen to it because if they did, you would see that what they say just doesn't quite make sense.
Yeah. And I don't know if you said this to us, but I think I heard this somewhere. For every hater comment on there, there's at least 10 people that have your back. Was that you just told us that, or was that I'm thinking of someone else?
I don't know if I've said that specifically, but I've definitely experienced when someone's hated on me, and I've had people be like, "You obviously don't know who this person is. Like, knock it off." And it's and that. But again, like the possibility of having a hater come on versus the ability to help more people, like that percentage is so imbalanced. Like it's like 1% to 99%. And unfortunately, the 99% sometimes don't say anything. So you may feel like from time to time, is it working? Is it going? Like, look, I still get posts that don't perform well. And I'm like, man, why did I do that? But then I put a post out and it does great. And I'm like, okay, well, so it's kind of like a dopamine effect, I guess. But the point of the matter is, though, is that I stay consistent with it. And I just go back to the real reason of I'm just trying to help somebody do better today. That's all I want to do. I want to help someone do better.
So, Robert, we're kind of running up here on time here. Just a few thoughts to part with here. For our people that are just starting out, maybe new business owners, or they're wanting to start a business, where should they start in the online world? Is it just a matter of getting a website, Facebook ads, YouTube? What do you think? Call Robert?
Call me. Yeah, you can call me for sure. I mean, realistically, I just go like I would not promote anything unless you understand yourself, unless you understand what you're going after, you understand your position as related to other people in the space and what it is that you are going to separate yourself as. So do an inventory first before you do anything, because you may get a little trouble down the road. But here's the byproduct of promotion that people don't really talk about, and that maybe you guys experienced this. I don't know. I know I did. I got better at pitching. I got better at communicating. I found more products that needed to be there. And as I spoke about a topic, I could dive deeper into something like, oh man, I didn't really know that I could talk about that more. There's just this endless stream of content that you can work with. So if you're really wanting to start, avoid using models that other people have used. I'm trying to get you to empower yourself with the way, when you work with me, I'm making you. I'm not trying to make you me. I'm making you. That's what I want. The end goal is, how do I make you really who you are? Right? How do I make your communication your communication? How do I make your website your website? How do I make your videos your videos? Not what other people are doing in the space that you're in, not what the top entrepreneurs are doing, but what you're doing, because that's why people are buying from you anyways, because of yourself. Where I worked before, I had to close all those deals. I didn't have the big guy up top closing deals for me. I had to do it.
Yeah.
So that same principle applies to marketing and advertising. And so the starting point is take inventory, really get honest with yourself, look at everything you know, what's going on, and then take that next step to build out your social platforms, take that next step to build out your website, and work with people like me, work with people, get connected to like guys like you who are doing this and seeing that expansion unfold. And just remember, It isn't easy at the beginning, and you're going to get discouraged at the beginning. But if you could just hang in there, really just hang in there and look at the bigger play of why you're doing this, you'll do well.
That's encouraging words.
Awesome stuff, man. You shared a ton of value with anybody watching here today. So appreciate it very much coming on here, Robert. Where can everybody else find out more about you, man?
You can follow me at Robert Syslo Jr. on any social media platform. You can go to my website, sysloventures.com. You can check out my training, sysloventures.com/secrets revealed. If you want to work with me, hit me up. We'll chat. I respond.
I can vouch for your training,
Yep.
man. It is. I think you're underselling it. It's worth thousands for that.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Bump it up, man. Yeah, it's
Sorry,
good.
guys. I just upped it to $2,000. I apologize.
Thanks a lot for
Awesome.
coming on, Robert.
Yeah, absolute pleasure.
Thank
man.
you. I really appreciate your time. You guys are awesome. Thank you
All
so
right,
much.
man.
All right.
Have a good one. Talk to
care.
you later.